truly amazing. Let me just put this here. The Bible says blessings will be showering. And I'll take that. I don't mind. You know, actually, this is just practice for the men's retreat, if you know anything about the men's retreat. Thank you. Now, when you learn to do that with these, it will be amazing. You know why? Do you know let me kick that out of the way. Do you know, I'll step on that one, it'll be crunch. Good Lord, there's more in my pocket. So what you can't see out there is they've been passing more, passing peppermints out, and I have handed out handfuls that were in my pocket from everybody. I'm serious. I have emptied my pockets 3 or 4 times. You guys are great. I love it. Do you realize that the greatest thing you can do is give encouragement? I'm serious. Now, I really am serious about that. And I know y'all are having fun with this today, which... Hold on just a second. There we go. All right. I am good. I'm glad I went out and got my own bottle of water. What fun. If you look around and you see a few people gone, there are people out ministering today. That's what the prayer center is about too. So it's not just about coming in. We just spent 24 hours last weekend in ministry and service, and then some of them have gone out now and ministering out, and some of our ministers who are, as you see, they're not here. They're out ministering is what they're doing this Sunday morning. So thank you for being a part here, but also realize that it's not about staying only in the building. It's about moving out, okay? I also want to share with you, after service, there'll be a couple of the guys, Josh and Danny, are going to help do this. We had been given a lot of salad fixins, really good, and potatoes. And you can pick through all that. There's baggies. Grab some because we can't keep it all, okay? We're not even trying to. And this is, you know, when you go buy a little bundle of salad, like baby spinach or they're $7, $8 for some of the big ones. There are lots of them that were given to us. We're going to set them out back here so you can get them. They'll be doing that right at the end of service. Feel free to grab them. There's no requirements on you other than take them home. Utilize them because they're good, all right? So let me ask you this question. Did you ever have any person in your life who was a great encourager? I hope you have. Can you pinpoint at least one person who you can say, this person spoke into my life? Well, I'm very blessed to say I had several. My grandfather was one of them that was very, very good at just encouraging. And he used to do this little thing, and I caught myself doing it. He used to do this little thing when we come over at night, and you know, they lived on a farm, literally an old school dairy, chickens, turkeys, cattle, pigs, the whole 9 yards, and they lived literally in a cash society because they didn't do credit hardly ever, and they were very blessed. And we'd come in the back door sometimes at 8 o'clock at night, and the sun has already gone down, and he'd say, "Who are you? Who are you?" He knew we were coming because my grandmother would say, "Hey, the grandkids are coming, so just be ready." So we'd walk through the back door, and wham, the back screen door would slam shut, you know, because we're kids. And we'd be walking in, and he could see us. And he'd go, "Who are you? Who are you?" I remember him doing that all the time. Are you kidding me? I picked it up, and it still had some in it. So I remember us going, "Where are your grandkids?" He goes, "Oh, I almost forgot who you were." He'd always just tease us that way. You see what I'm saying? Kind of just jokingly tease us. And the other day, the grandkids jumped out of the car, and they were coming, "Papa." I said, "Who are you?" And I said it out of my mouth before I even thought twice. And it took me back to that encouragement that I remember as a kid that was so powerful. So let me just ask you a simple question. Can you tell when someone needs encouragement? What's the sign that somebody's needing encouragement? Well, let me give you a quick sign that somebody needs encouragement. They're breathing. That's how you know they need encouragement. They are taking in air and giving it out. They're still alive. They're moving. They're breathing. They need encouragement. The greatest good you can ever do is be the person God called you to be. And the top thing Paul and Christ and all the disciples said for you to do is show Himself, and that's by encouraging. 1 Corinthians 14 is where we're going to go today. This is the greatest good today. I'm going to be taking this fall, particularly even today, and talk about things as basic as you can get for the church and Christianity. See, what you are looking at today when you see the church is not typically how the church started. It You just got to laugh a little, don't you? Laughter doeth good like a medicine. Hey, death and life are in the power of the tongue, right? Proverbs 18:20, 21, 22 says, those who love it will eat thereof it. Right? Right? And the second word it says right behind this, and you guys are going to hear this, but catch this. That's Proverbs 18:21 through 22. The second part is it says, when you find a wife, you found a good thing. Hold on. Now guys, hear this from me. When you find a wife, you found a treasure and a gift from the Lord. That's what it says. Okay? What is it telling you? What comes out your mouth, speak life. Because the treasure's been given to you, start at home. If you practice at home, it's not hard to do in the stores. If you practice at home, it's not hard to do in work. If you practice at home, it's not hard to do at Toot and Totem or wherever you're going. Pack a sack. Doesn't matter. Look at chapter 14, 1 Corinthians. This is how the church started. This is Paul's comment to the church about church service. Pursue love and desire spiritual gifts. Boom. That's how the Acts 2:42 says what they did when they got together. They met together, they took communion, they prayed for each other, and they met needs. Let me say it again. They met together, they took communion, they prayed together and took the teaching, and they met needs. That's the four things that the church is actually directly supposed to be doing. And somewhere along the 5th century, under Constantine, he said, let's organize this because it's chaotic. You know what's chaotic? Trying to control God. You cannot do it. Do you know I can go around the room here and I can give you my opinion or what I see in the Word. Now, some of it's not opinion, it's just absolute truth because it's straight out of the Word of God. And I see it with certain glasses. And I see it in a way that some of you don't see it. And part of the reason I look around and I see a lot of you taking notes is because you go, I want to read that a little bit more. I want to catch that a little different. And I appreciate that. I was watching last week, and I'm not doing it this week, but I was watching last week a lot of note takers, which is great. Pursue love. One of the greatest things we can do for each other is pursue love. You know what love is? And I'm not talking about love of hot dogs or pizza, but we use those terms, and I like to thank you very much. Hey, by the way, we prayed for you constantly while you were going through your issues recently, okay? I'm serious about that, and I want you to know that, and thanks for the candy. Appreciate that, too. So, one of the amazing things love does is when you have the chance to go first, you let somebody else. Love is preferring someone ahead of yourself when you got the chance to be number one. Now they say, well, love is, four things in the Greek. It's epithemia, stoge, phileo, and agape. And agape, we say agape. All right? You've seen this song that we were singing just a minute ago, and it's got several different Jewish or Hebrew Aramaic words like Elohim, El Shaddai, Adonai, Yahweh, all right, which means creator God, God of being a Lord, covenant-keeping God, and Lord, all right? And I know some of y'all are like, why are we singing Hebrew words? They're very deep when you get to know what they mean. We're headed to Kansas this week to a place called Ruach Elohim. Now, you may not know what that means. It means the breath of the living God. Okay? R-U-A-C. Everybody, I have people drive by and go, what does roach mean? It means Ruach. And Ruach, if you take the word R-U-A-C-H-E, Dina used to have little cards that she'd hand out that said, are you okay? We used to hand them out all the time. Are you okay? And somebody came along and said, Ruach. Do you know that's the Hebrew word for breath of God or spirit of God? Wow, I didn't know that. That's fantastic. I was pretty young at that time. That was fantastic. It's all good, baby. I like hearing those sounds. I got to be honest with you. You know what that means? It's life. It's life. Thank you. Love you, girl. Pursue love and spiritual gifts. Do you know that spiritual gifts are desirable? When someone is moving in God, they're desirable. And then he puts this but in there. You know what but means? Above the rest of what I just said. Especially that you may prophesy. For he who speaks in a tongue doesn't speak to men but to God, for no one understands him. However, in the Spirit he speaks mysteries. I don't know if you've ever had this happen. I've had it happen many times until I understood it. Somebody will start praying for me, and they'll just start speaking in a spiritual language, their own private language, and they'll go, it's interesting, but I have no idea what you're saying. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I'd hear people talk about Acts 2, and they would tell the experience. And then they would tell about somebody who spoke in a tongue, and it was somebody else's language. And then I seen it a couple times. And then when I went to Kenya, and they were speaking in Swahili, it wasn't Swahili, it was a mother tongue. And mother tongue means a tribal tongue that is in their area. Like the Lua, they speak a different way than the Meruans. The Meru people speak different than other tribes. And so you could stand there and know Swahili, but they start speaking in their own tongue, and even people there can't understand what they're saying. I mean, it's kind of like us speaking in West Texas language versus Boston. Or you from New York or Jersey. See how you got that? See how that was fast? I'm surprised she didn't throw candy at me. She didn't have anything in her hand. She would have. There's a separate. There's thank you. I appreciate that. My gosh. So there is a difference in the dialect so much. And I was up with the Lua people and up in Eldoret, and they were talking, and I heard it in the spirit, the same thing I hear when I pray. So when they were praying, I just prayed in my spirit language and just prayed in tongues, and they stopped and they listened. You've been practicing? This is honest God truth, what they said to me. You've been practicing to learn our language? I said, nope. How do you know what we're saying? The Spirit of God is telling me what you're saying. Now you say, well, you're just a very spiritual person. No, I listen to the Lord. He who has an ear, let him hear. There's two types of hearing. There's a natural type, and then there's a spirit hearing. All right? And to describe that, that's very difficult for people to understand. But let me just say it this way. When you go home at night and you lie down and you go to sleep at night, does the Lord speak to your spirit, or does he go, hey, Thomas? He might do it like that. But rarely is it audible that you can hear with your physical ear, but you can hear it with your spirit ear. And he says this to everybody. Jesus says this: he who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says, not just the physical, not just your ear and your drum and your, and all that in your inside your head. But let him hear what the Spirit's saying. So he says the person who prophesies is doing a greater good. Now watch this, because we're talking about the greater good here. Watch this. But he who prophesies speaks edification, exhortation, and comfort to men. He who speaks in a tongue edifies himself. So we have when you're praying, you have a prayer language. If you don't understand that tongues is not just for the church, people get mixed up with this. There's a tongue that's for the church that's given audibly. It still happens, not as much, but it still happens. Then there's a tongue that's private language. That's when you're praying. Romans 8 says that the Spirit starts praying within inside of you. And then there's a tongue that is definitely a declarative that other nations can hear, that you don't even know what it means until the Lord gives it to you. And that's what we see in Acts chapter 2. But he says he edifies, he exhorts, and he comforts. Wow. Hold on. Now, when we hear the word prophecy, don't we think fortune telling? That's the mimic. That is the mimic. Anything the Lord does, Satan goes, oh, I can do it too. And for those who don't know the Lord's heart, we'll try to do it. Now, let me ask you a question here. Do you know your mama's voice? We did this test years ago, and it's a lot of fun. We do it usually, and it mixes up guys, but gals know. So we'd stick 20 guys in a room and 20 gals in a room. So we'd stick like the guys in here and the gals in there. And we would let the girls go, all you need to do is say hello. And the guys, not seeing their wife, have to pick out which one's their wife. It's not fair, is it? So I would always wind up sitting with the guys, of course. And Dina would always go, hello. No. I have to tell them to speak up. Hello. And they'd always try to fool the guys. And honestly, the guys could pretty much mess it up. Every once in a while they get it right. And once in a while we'd get 20 for 20 and we wouldn't miss. But the girls nominally hit it every single time. Work kids ministry. You need to do it anyway. Matter of fact, you probably won't get into heaven unless you do work kids ministry. I'm just saying. Donna, you're laughing because you know what that's like. It's not just because we need workers, but because it's important for you to learn to give of yourself. Okay? I went back in to start working in teen ministry 3 years ago, and I love it, and I enjoy it. And we have a totally different group this fall than we had in the spring. But here's my point. A mama can hear a baby cry in the nursery, and there's 10 kids in the nursery, and she knows which one's hers. A daddy can hear 10 kids in the nursery and look at mom and say, "Which is it ours?" True story. True story. So let me ask you, do you know the difference between the Lord's voice and not the Lord's voice? See, because you need to learn it like a mama to her baby. How are you going to do that unless you spend time learning His voice? Some of y'all are going to learn it in the middle of the night. Some of you are going to learn it through tragedy. Some of you, I'm not predicting that for you, but it happens. Some of you are going to learn it through conflict. Tongues is for the person. Prophecy is for everyone else. everyone else. Now, let me read just a little bit more so I don't lose you. He who speaks a tongue edifies himself. He who prophesies edifies the church. I wish that all of you spoke in tongues, because here's what the Corinthian church told him. We all speak in tongues. Good for you. Good for you. Verse 5, I wish you all spoke with tongues, but even more that you prophesied. For he who prophesies is greater than he who speaks with tongues, unless indeed he interprets, that the church may receive edification. So you get up, you give a word of tongues, wonderful. But if there's no interpretation, then it's void unless the Spirit of God's telling them. And if the Spirit of God is telling them, share with the whole group. You brought candy? Share with the group. Thank you. I'm going to throw them back out.
Sharing is caring.
That's exactly right. Sharing is caring. Now catch this. If you have good things inside of you, listen up. If you have good things inside of you and you're not sharing them, are you really following the nature of God? No. For God so loved the world that he... Oh, you know it. 1 John 4:17. Hereby you perceive what love is, that on the day of judgment you shall have confidence that as he is, so are you in this life. For God so loved the world, he... Are you him in this life? You're supposed to be. Yes. So you learn to give. Tongues is for the person. Prophecy is for others. You're to edify, exhort, and comfort. Now, let's get back to that just real quick about prophecy being something that people think is fortune telling. In the Old Covenant, prophecy was given for a warning. They did not speak face to face with God all the time. In the New Covenant, it is for edification, exhortation, and comfort. Because the veil has been torn, you have direct access. Before Christ, you had to actually have a high priest go to God for you. Now, you go straight into the holies of holies. You go straight face to face with the Lord. The real thing that happens on men's retreat is God meets you face to face. The real thing that happens in women's retreat is God meets you face to face. The real thing that happens at camp for teens and kids is God meets them face to face. If you've ever been face to face with the Lord, you are changed. You cannot be the same. You can't be. You know why? Well, then you're denying yourself. Edify. It literally looks like this. Building somebody up. I know that was kind of... I ain't going to tell you who started that whole thing this morning, but I really don't know exactly, but I know who first hit me with it. And it was right off when nobody was here yet. And I'm like, very good. Last week I told about crackers being handed out to me. I appreciate this. You have no idea. You caught it. When you learn to give like you were doing today to those out there, nothing will hold you back. And it's sweeter on your lips and in your spirit than peppermint. By far. Edifies, to build up, to come along and go, man, I like that. And you know there's something in you that I like. And you don't turn and go, nothing. You go, this is what I like about you. Constantly. Can you name one person who is always positive no matter what? I can. You know what's happened in their life? They've gone through something in their life that was so life-changing. They go, I will never turn my back again on the Lord. You see what I'm saying? Not going to do it. My life is changed. I'm not just changed. I'm exchanged and I'm a different person. The second thing is to exhort. And most people don't know what the word exhort means. They think it just means build up, encourage. Well, it does have a little bit to do with encouragement. But it also has to do with warnings. A real Christian also warns his fellow believer. Watch for this. Hey, God told me to tell you I love you and to build you up, but watch for this. This is going to be detrimental if you're not careful. See, because modern day people who think prophecy have to look like the old covenant, that God is coming down and He is demanding justice and everything else. That He is going to destroy and demolish. He did that with Jesus. All His anger wasn't put on you, thank God. It was put on Jesus. So when I hear people go, you know why they're having hurricanes and tornadoes? Well, Matthew 24 says it's just going to happen. It's going to be a sign. But you know why? They're not serving God. I heard it a lot in 2005 with New Orleans in the fall. Do you know we had people back years ago? We had about 60 people come to Amarillo to our church from the hurricane. You may not remember that. And we helped them out. Right? They were distributing different people, and people were being brought up to Amarillo. We had about 60 that showed up, and we were part, so we helped them out. And there's some fantastic people that we were connected with. And I heard from some ministers, this is God's judgment on New Orleans. I go, then why hasn't He done it in Russia? Why didn't He do it to Hitler back in the 40s? Or could it be it's a telltale sign for us, and God put His punishment on Jesus? We sometimes exhort because we think this is what God's saying, when we need to look at the Word and exhort from the Word. You won't mess it up if you come from the Word. You'll mess it up when you come from your own thought. And I'm not saying that there's not good words of prophecy. I'm saying make sure you know what exhortation is. Okay? If it's from the Word, it's easy. If it's from just your thoughts, it's difficult. The third one's comfort. You carry something inside of you that is comforting. The presence of God. Do you know every time you hand it out, it's a piece of you giving away that God even feels? Every time you walk, you never have probably done this. Have you ever walked through a river? I have. I grew up where the river was 100 yards away from our house. And I floated down the river. I'm talking about the Arkansas River. I know y'all call it the Arkansas. The Arkansas River. A couple years ago, we were going up to the mountains, and I had my elders with me. And I said, hey, look, the Arkansas River. And they go, Arkansas? It's pronounced Arkansas. Because it was right in our backyard. It was Arkansas River. Yes. Yes. Hey, you're going to find out, Aaron, that it's half a mile away. You can go walk to it. That's a true story. Every time you step and pull it out, can you find where your footprint was? No, you can't find it. You might have a little impression in the sand for a second, but it's quickly gone away. Why? That's how giving works. Once you give it away, you can't see, but it's refilled instantly. When you pass comfort and peace out, it is like stepping through a river. You're giving away and you're getting more right behind it, right behind it, right behind it, right behind it. They overcame him by two things. The blood of the Lamb, which is salvation, and the word of their testimony. You know, the greatest thing of encouragement is when you speak life to someone else, and you know how hard it is? Very simple. You don't have to go through some long prophetic word to give to somebody. You can just walk into toot and tell them, go, man, I like that. That's a nice looking, whatever, shirt, hairdo. Doesn't really matter. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Or you might be like me, sitting out in the car, and Dina's sitting in there talking to somebody and gives them a hug, and I'm like, what the heck is she doing? She's being recorded. she was leaning over the counter giving this gal a hug. She's crying. The gal was crying. I didn't have a clue what was going on. And she's crying, and Dean goes, "Can I hug you?" She goes, I guess. Become a person who gives their life away. Let me say it again. Become a person who give their life away. The people who do this are worth following. The others are just in the way. Let me say it again because you need to hear this. Become the person who's giving your life away. I sat with a ministers group a few years ago, and we were talking. It was after a conference we were talking, and this was the question that was asked, and I thought it was a good question. What would you do if they couldn't pay you anymore? I sit in a small group with this, and they said, what would you do when it comes difficult and the church isn't full anymore and you cannot get paid by the church anymore? What would you do? And I promise you, 2/3 of them at that point said, I will not be a pastor in this group. By that time, this was 2009, several years ago. By that time, I already was doing what I'm doing now. And I was just practicing what I do now. I was really the very beginning of it, practicing what I do now. Well, I was right behind that, hired by Trinity Fellowship full speed, and had another salary, so it was no big issue. But what would you do? So let me ask you a question. Where do you work? Now, don't answer all that at once, okay? But where do you work? Would you keep working there if they didn't pay you? Would you keep showing up? Yeah, see, that's a true answer. No. Because I still have to take care of things. I mean, I get it. I understand. Totally. You still have car payments. You still have a house got to be paid for. The kids still need food and shoes. Yes, you are. You're supposed to feed them. Not just on Wednesday night. Watch this. When you're giving your life away, money is not an object. Being taken care of is a byproduct. If you're going to your job just for the money only, I encourage you to look at what you're giving away. Because all you're doing with money is trading for time. That's all you're doing. Am I mad about that? No, I'm going to suggest to you, you learn to give your life away, and they pay to give your life away. Okay? When I'm talking with someone, I don't think, what an idiot. I think, what do they need? Because I promise you, sometimes when you think, what an idiot. I cannot believe that they act like this. Learn to give your life away, and you'll be worth someone following. And learn to give your life away in the job you're at, and they'll pay you still for it. It's not a money issue. It's the way you look at things issue. What are you passionate about? Here's where we're going to end. What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? If you called, are any of you called? You know, I know you know pastors called, and he started the vocation. He went to Bible college. He went to seminary. He's traveled the world to see different things so he can come back and tell us about it. What are you called to? I took it on as a vocation. Do you know you're called? Do you know why I took it on as a vocation? Because God pointed me out and said, you're going to be one of these guys. You're going to be one of the apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, or teachers. And I'm going to give you which gifting it is. And then you're going to study, showing that you're approved. And the reason you're doing this for, like Ephesians chapter 4, verse 11 says, is for the equipping of the saints that they may do the ministry. Not so that I do the ministry just alone, so we do the ministry. The equipping of the saints is done through everybody who receives the call and says, I want to do this, not just the fivefold ministry. You are very influential by the way you talk and respond and say and encourage and give and allow yourself to speak life. Okay? If you're designed for it, it will cost you something. And I want to share with you, you are designed for it. You are designed for it. You're designed to be an encourager. You're designed to carry hope. You're designed to have peace in your life. You are designed, and it costs, by the way, it costs Christ everything. It will cost you your life. And you might be lucky and never have your life cut short. You might be extremely blessed never to have anything draw your life short, and you get to spend all your life giving it away. Or it might be cut short. Could you imagine getting news that your brother James was just martyred? What happened this week, I reflected back on Acts chapter 12. Herod Antipas was so mad at the words being said inside of Jerusalem and in the northern area that they arrested James. They called him James the Great later. He was the son of Zebedee, the son of Salome or Salome, who was related to Jesus. Oh, you might know his other brother, John, James and John. They pulled him in. They thrashed him with whips. And then he said, that's not enough. Don't just kick him out. We did this with Peter and we did with John. Let's do something that will show the rest of them an example. And they pulled him out and they cut his head off in the square. The other disciples begged for his body and his head. Peter was then arrested right behind this. Now you see this in Acts chapter 12. Peter's arrested. He's put into prison in the inner cell because this is where you keep treasonous people. And Peter's been beaten. He's been chained. And he's sitting there in the middle of the night. He hears the door open. Kablunk. He sees what he thinks is a man walk over to him and grabs the chain and releases it. And he says, Peter, stand up. Peter stands up and he says, come with me. And he walks him through every door and gate to the outside. And when he stands into the street, he's standing on the street in Jerusalem, all of a sudden a wind gust happens and you're like, that wasn't a dream. It was real. An angel actually led him out. And he went back to the upper room. And he stood outside in the middle of the night knocking. And a little girl came running up to the door. You got to imagine this 14, 15-year-old girl came running up. Her name was Rhoda. I remember this real well. She opened the door and she goes, oh, it's a ghost. Boom! Slams the door right in Peter's face after getting let out of jail. She runs back to the group who are praying, God, set Peter free. He's at the door. We haven't had communion wine yet. He's at the door. And they run and they open the door, and there he was. Now, I think that's an incredible miracle. Why did he let James die and Peter live? That's a maybe God said, James, you come home with me. You're good. Your message is enough. Okay? You don't have to keep going. And what happened to you, everybody will know about. Because what's fixing to happen to Peter? Because it was right behind that message that Peter got arrested. And Peter got up and stood in the street the next day and preached. And they go, isn't that the guy we arrested? And Herod said, how dare you let him go? We didn't let him go. Has to be a God miracle. And if you know anything about Roman law, those men who let him go or didn't died for it. At that moment, they knew God was real. I'm going to tell you, there are people who step up who will have things happen to them. And you will know God is expanding. And things are happening. So it's happening. You may not like Charlie Kirk. You might not like this message, but I guarantee he was an evangelist. And the message will convey to millions and millions and billions of people. I personally liked a lot of things he said. Here's what we need to be saying to people when they say, man, I don't really want to go to church. I don't really want to go to church. Okay, can you kids come? Can you kids come? Oh, we'll pick them up. We'll give you a break, Mom and Dad. Sunday morning, we'll give you a break. We'll pick them up 10 o'clock and bring them back at 1:30. We'll even give them something to eat. Is that okay? You mean I get a break from them going, Mommy, 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 Mommy? Yeah, I'll take that any day. I was joking when we were coming this morning. I said, our back seat needs to be filled anyway. I kind of laughed about that a little bit. We was just teasing. But it does. Not everybody wants to come at 7:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. But 10 o'clock's okay. 10:30 is okay. It's time for us to get back to what we know. And the greatest thing we can do is encourage. It doesn't cost you anything. There are families that are here now who have joined because another family said, well, if you don't want to come, can I take your kids? Honest truth. That's happened. That's how it's happened. That's how it's happened. Mm-hmm. No, you're good. Throw some more candy. I hope by now you've got the greatest good is inside of you. That you have the hope. You carry the hope. You carry everything. This is time for us to step up. If not, there's never been a time. I've had people say, why are you spending so much time with men? Because Titus 2 calls us to this place. Fathers, we need fathers to step up. Mentors, we need you to step up with men. Brothers, we need you to be brothers. Mothers, I need you to be mothers to young women. I need you ladies to be mentors to other women. I need you to be sisters to other sisters. The greatest good is inside of you. Don't hold it back. Let's pray. Father, thank you. This is a call to all of us to step into who God called us to be, as the greatest message is still in our lips. It's in our bones. It's in our spirit. It's in our soul. You hold the power to everything, and you've invested it inside of us. Open our mouths. Help us. Give us courage. For some who have never done it, give us courage to speak encouragement and life and boldness. For some who's never done it, Father, give us encouragement to pray for people publicly. Give us courage to step up and say, there is a hope, there is peace, there is life, and yes, chaos happens, but so does order in the presence of God. Pass the peace that is on them to others. That's my prayer. So, Father, rise up this generation. It doesn't matter if you're old or young, raise up this generation to speak life. I'm looking at a generation coming on that wants you. Father, let me not be a hindrance or in the way, but let me be someone who steps up and says, I will help, I will assist, and I'll give my life, whether I make $1 or not, it doesn't matter. I will pass it on. I will pass it on. I will pass it on. In Christ's name. Amen. Hey, stand back with me. would you for just a minute? I don't care what's going on in your life as far as the difficulty. I do care about your life, but I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on. Sometimes we just need somebody to pray over us, speak life over us. There are people in the back willing and waiting for you. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. You need prayer? Move back and get prayer. If you've come and you don't feel right, don't stay there. Get prayed for and let the Lord change that. We're just going to move back into a little more time of worship, and we'll close completely out. So come, let the Lord minister to you. If you need prayer, move back in prayer.